Hi friends, glad to be back together with you this week as we continue learning about some of the world's most famous artists. Today we're going to look at another pop artist. Last week we learned all about Andy Warhol and how he elevated everyday things like cans of soup and made them into art. Well, today we're going to look at an artist who became famous about the same time in the 1960s for elevating something that I think many of you love: comic book art. The name of the artist was Roy Lichtenstein, and he was an American artist who, instead of creating something new, made huge paintings in the style of the comics. We're going to look at a few of his works and notice some things about the way he created. As you look at Roy Lichtenstein's work, I want you to notice his color palette: red, yellow, blue, white, black. Whether he's painting a sunset or a hand gripping a lightning bolt, those are the main colors he uses. And notice how he colors in his paintings. Little dots like in the comics, or bold solid colors. Sometimes he would even use onomatopoeias, that's the fancy word, for words that sound like the sound they make. You might notice these same shapes and colors in comic books about superheroes. Well, he even created huge wall murals using these same techniques: bold colors, a limited color palette, solid colors, and those little pixelated dots. He was really famous for doing portraits in this comic book style and even included quote bubbles. I think this one is funny because her arms are just too short, and yet this was a famous piece of his. Let's look at this last portrait together because it's going to inform our project today. There's a close-up of a face, limited colors, just solid red in the hair, red dots in the face, blue dots in the eyes, and a yellow background. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to create our own self-portraits using the same technique as Roy Lichtenstein. Does this person look familiar? Let's see if I can make my face kind of do the same thing. There I am. We're going to create self-portraits using Roy Lichtenstein's techniques. We're going to draw them with our paper horizontally so that we have room on one side for our face and then room on the other side for a speech bubble. We're only going to use red and yellow and blue on white paper with black Sharpie. We're going to vary our artwork using solid colored spaces where we color it in all the way, and then dotting our spaces to get some lighter tones. We might do a background with some of those big pow, bam, wham kind of illustrations, and then you're going to get to make your own speech bubble, a picture of you saying something that you like to say. What does mine say? Let's draw together even when we're apart. So go ahead and grab your supplies if you don't have them already. All you need is a piece of paper, a pencil with an eraser, a Sharpie, and then a red, a yellow, and a blue marker. And if your markers are dried up, you could use crayons or colored pencils for this too. So grab your things and let's draw together. We're going to start by drawing our self-portrait. Now, I say self-portrait because I did mine of me, but you can really do yours of any person that you want. I'm going to remind us of some of the steps for drawing a more realistic looking face. But if you want to draw your teacher or a famous athlete or your sister or yourself, it doesn't matter. Just want you to draw a person. We have our paper horizontally or landscape because we're going to put our face on the left-hand side, and then our speech bubble will go on the right-hand side. We do want to make sure that the size of our face fills up most of that side of the paper. So I don't want to see a little tiny face like this. Your face should be at least as big as your hand on your paper. Most faces are ovals or circles with some different shapes in them, and so with your pencil very lightly, starting very close to the top of your paper, I want you to draw a good oval. I'm going to press a little harder on mine just so that you can see it on camera, but you usually wouldn't want to press very hard. We're going to erase our pencil marks towards the latter part of the project today, and so you're going to want to draw it a little bit lighter. Our neck is going to come out of the sides of the face, not all the way out, but just down the chin a little bit, and then the neck is a slight curve just out of the side of the face. We don't want to do our neck here because then our heads look like lollipops. Your neck has to be strong enough to hold up your whole head. And then our shoulders, we're just going to see the tops of the shoulders are going to come over almost like a little flat smile like that, and a little flat smile like this with a curve down. So we're going to see not both shoulders, but part of one. Now let's talk about the proportions of the face, or that's the way that we divide the face up into sections. First thing we do when we draw a face is to draw a light line down the middle, because faces are divided in half. We have 2 eyes, 1 nose, and a mouth. The next thing, I'm going to draw that a little darker so you can see it, and I'll erase it later. The next thing we're going to do is put a line halfway down the head. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your fingers, if you can, if they're big enough, put one finger at the top of the head, the other, and your thumb at the bottom, and scoosh them together until they meet in the middle. Watch how I do that again. So they meet right about in the middle, and we're going to draw a line across like that. This is the line where the middle of your eyes will go. And sometimes we think that our eyes should be up here, but really on the human face, the eyes are halfway down. Next thing I want you to do is see if you put your 2 fingers in the middle of the face like this, how many more can you fit? Now this is a little, let's try thumb. I think a thumb will work better here. If you squish your thumb down like this, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Let's squish our thumb right in the middle, and don't let your pencil touch your thumb, but let's do a little mark just outside of your thumb and another little mark just outside of your thumb. That's going to be the space between your eyes. Now, the space between your eyes is about as wide as the eyes themselves. So we're going to take that little measurement there, and we're going to do another mark on either side so that was a little bit chunky. So that this part of your line is the same as this part of your line, is the same as this, is the same as this, is the same as this. Now, I want you to cover up this little part of your line, and I want you to draw one eye between these 2 marks. Now, an eye usually looks like a lemon or a football or an almond. And if you've done art with me before, you know that we sometimes look in the mirror to check the shape of our eyes. If you look at Mrs. Burke's eyes, mine are kind of like a flat lemon, a flatter football. And then we're going to come over to this side and do the same thing so that we have 2 eyes. Now we're going to do the middle part of the eye, the colorful part, and that part is called the iris. We all know that the iris is a circle, but usually our eyes are not wide open enough unless we're really surprised to see the whole circle. Part of the circle hides under the top eyelid and under the bottom eyelid. So we're going to do a part of a circle there and the other part of the circle there. Same thing on this side, part of the circle part of the circle. Now we need to add the pupil. Pupil is a funny word because it means student in a classroom, but it also means the little black hole in the middle of your iris. So right about on that line, we're going to just color in a little black hole. Now you can get fancy if you want here. When I did myself, I did the part where my eyelid shows, and sometimes that can be, I'm not doing myself now, I'm just doing a person. Doesn't matter who. Sometimes that can be bigger or smaller, like a big rainbow or like a hill. Doesn't matter. Now let's add some eyelashes if you'd like. Eyelashes can be long, and they just start right here on the edge of the eyelid, and they flick out. I'm pressing with my pencil, and I'm flicking them up. Now, if you don't want to show your eyelashes, perfectly fine by me. This is totally up to you. If you want to go crazy and add some eyelashes to the bottom lashes, you can do that. Now we want to add our eyebrows. And eyebrows start a little bit inside of where the eyes end, and they end a little bit outside where the eyes end. And they're basically just a big rainbow. Now some people's eyebrows are more like a straight line. Actually, let's do some different eyebrows on this person. And you can see your reflection in your computer screen, or you can pause the video, go check yourself out in the mirror. Some people's eyebrows are more like a straight line with an angle. Maybe they come up like this. Eyebrows come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Notice how I'm using my eraser. I use my eraser all the time because I'm not perfect. All right, so we'll leave the eyes there, and now we'll work on the nose. To find out where the nose belongs, we start at this halfway point and go down to the chin, and we do that same little trick. We come and we make them meet in the middle and do a little bit of a line right there. That's where the bottom of the tip of your nose is going to land. To do a nose consists of a smile, and some smiles are flat. Some smiles are almost more like a V, more pronounced like that. Sometimes they're really, really, really flat. We all have very, very different noses. So I want you to look in the mirror, or even just feel your nose, or imagine what kind of nose you want to draw on your person. I'm going to draw mine pretty like a smile there. And then we're going to draw the nostrils. That's the little hole part in your nose. I have little tiny nostrils, but on my person that I'm going to draw today, I'm going to add a little hook on the end for the nostrils. And then we have the outside, or the side of your nose, the outside of the nostrils. And that looks like a C and a backwards C. And depending on what your nose looks like, you're going to just add those outside. Now, sometimes people want to draw a line straight up here, and our faces really don't have a line where the nose is. The best way to do that in art is to do some shadows, but because we're doing a comic book look, you could add a little partial line that kind of shows where the nose is going to land. Now let's do the mouth. The mouth is going to land a little bit higher than halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin. That's where the middle of the lips comes together. I'm going to make my person smiling. So I'm going to start by doing a bit of a rainbow with a little tiny scoop in the middle. That's the bottom of my top lip. Then I'm going to do a big rainbow down, and another big rainbow down, and then I'm going to make a flat M for the top lip. Now, if you want to do teeth, I recommend that you don't draw each individual tooth. Sometimes I think it's just better to get the shape of the bottom of the teeth. So for this person, I'm going to start in the middle, And I'm going to go out from the 2 center teeth. And then I'm going to go bump, bump, bump to the back. Bump, bump, bump. Now maybe, let's give this person braces. This person has braces. That's kind of fun. Do any of you have braces? So I'm going to put some braces on my person today. And I'm going to add some little brackets and some little wires. Let's add some ears. Ears start at the top of the eye and then at the bottom of the nose. So we're going to start at the top of the eye and come down with a backwards C to the bottom of the nose. Start at the top of the eye, backwards. Whoa, I wasn't looking what I was doing. Start at the top of the eye, come down to the bottom of the nose. And then we're going to add some hair. And hair is always where we get a little bit tripped up because we think that the hair starts up here. And only if your head is shaved all the way to the back and you have a mohawk would you want to start your hair right about here. If you look at my picture over here, you can see that my top of my head was way up here, but my hairline started down here and swooped like this. I'm going to give this lady a short haircut with bangs. Maybe a lot of you have hair like this. I'm going to do some zigzags like this. And I'm going to come, and she's going to have a very short haircut that could be very similar to a boy's haircut. Well, it doesn't have to be a boy's haircut, just some boys might have shorter hair, and so it's kind of fun to watch how to do that. I'm going to just pay attention, and I'm going to see how I did the hair above the head a little bit and just brought it down in front of the ears. Okay, I think I'm going to give my girl a couple of earrings and a shirt and call it a day. That means finished my drawing. Now, I'm going to take my eraser and get rid of some of those guidelines. That means I'm going to get rid of this tall, my eraser's falling off, that line that we drew down the center of the face. I'm going to get rid of the line that we drew across the face. I'm going to get rid of the line that was the top of the head because the hair is covering it. Now I might have to go back and add, so I'm going to straighten out my chin a little bit. I'm going to go back and erase some of my extra lines here. Don't have to worry about it too much. We're going to do a little bit more erasing in a minute. I am also going to add a place where maybe the light is shining on her hair. So you can add some lines or some details in the hair of your person. We got a split lip going on right there. Okay. Once you've drawn your person, I want you to get your Sharpie out and trace all of your good lines. You're just going to go right over your pencil lines and trace all of the good ones, remembering that we're making this look like a comic book. So I'm going to trace all of my lines in Sharpie while you trace all of your lines in Sharpie. And then we're going to come back and talk about our speech bubble and how to color it in. let's talk about how Lichtenstein used his colors. I mentioned that he only used red, yellow, and blue. That might feel like we only have 3 colors to use, but actually, the way he used them made it so that there were really 6 options and not 3, because you can use a solid color or a dotted color. So we have solid red, solid yellow, dotted yellow, solid blue, dotted blue, plus black and white. So as we color in our portraits today, I want you to choose a combination of solid and dotted. I also want you to pay attention to what your color is touching. So in the hair, on this one, I have solid hair touching a dotted highlight. Solid hair touching or next to a dotted face. Sometimes that contrast between a solid and a dotted makes our pictures turn out even better. So I have solid hair, a dotted face, solid lips, a dotted inside of the mouth. I have solid clothing next to the dotted skin. When you paint or when you color in your portrait, I want you to do the same. If you do a solid section, I want you to think about what it's touching, and I want you to put a dotted section next to it. I'm going to go ahead and start dotting the piece that I'm working on with you and color it in, and you can join me as we draw together. Did you guys notice my mistake? Towards the end, I realized that I hadn't drawn mine in black. I have a jar of Sharpies on my desk, and I grabbed the gray one. And so I had to go back and trace everything in black. And it looks so much better now. Here's my finished piece. Here's the one I did earlier today. And here's this one. Isn't it fun how different they can be? I sure wish that I could see yours. I bet you did so many neat dots and stripes and colors, and you could add patterns. You can continue working on this project as long as you want. You could add lightning bolts and stripes and dots to your background. You could add designs on the clothing. You can do different color hair, anything you want. And you don't even just have to do people. You could do a drawing of a car like this, or a tree, or a vase of flowers. Anything you want, you can draw in the Lichtenstein style. It's just fun to explore different styles and different artists, and we learn more about ourselves as we do. I hope you realized that you yourself are a work of art. I'm so thankful that I get to be with you as we draw together, even while we're apart.